The blood moon hung low, bloated and crimson, as though the sky itself had been slit open and left to bleed. Kael Thorn crouched on the jagged outcrop overlooking the whispering vale, the wind tearing at his cloak like impatient fingers. Below, the Fey Court's border sentries moved in their silver armor, oblivious to the predator watching from the shadows. The eclipse was coming, minutes now, and with it, the beast inside him stirred. The Whispering Vale earned its name honestly. Even on ordinary nights, the wind through its narrow canyon walls made sounds that weren't quite wind. Low, vowel-shaped sounds that border folk claimed were the voices of the dead who had died there during the last war. Kael had never believed in ghosts. He had enough to contend with in the living world. Tonight, the Vale was quieter than usual. The sentries moved in tight formations, closer together than their patrol routes required. Animals had gone silent hours ago. No owls, no rustling in the undergrowth. Nothing but the wind and the slow crawl of the moon toward the Earth's shadow. Even things without the ability to reason could feel what was coming. Kael was built like the weapon he had become. Tall and broad-shouldered, every line of muscle honed by years of relentless survival and the court's brutal training. At 6'4", he carried the weight of a man who had once been a warrior of honor, before the curse reshaped him into something sharper, crueler. His skin was pale from too many nights under unnatural moons, marked by faint silver scars that traced the paths where fur and fang had torn through flesh during forced shifts. Those scars glowed faintly when the eclipse neared, as if the demon etched reminders into his body. His face was striking in its severity, high cheekbones, a strong jaw shadowed with stubble. His hair fell in thick, midnight black waves to his shoulders, streaked with premature silver at the temples. A gift from the curse's slow erosion. But it was his eyes that betrayed what lurked beneath the surface. Wolf yellow, slit-pupilled even in human form, glowing with an inner fire that never fully dimmed. He wore the court's black leathers. Around his neck hung a thin iron chain bearing a single obsidian shard. The Queen's mark, proof of ownership. A leash that tightened with every eclipse. He had been given his orders 4 hours ago. The throne room of the Eclipse Court was never warm, not even in summer. The obsidian walls absorbed heat the way they absorbed light, leaving the air perpetually cold and faintly metallic. Queen Lyrian had been seated on her throne when he entered, one finger tracing slow circles on the armrest, her void black eyes fixed on him with the particular attention of someone who has already decided the outcome of a conversation and is simply waiting for the other person to catch up.
There is an oracle in the Whispering Vale. She has been hiding for 3 years. She is hiding again now because a minor eclipse is coming, and her gift makes her visible to those who know how to look. Bring me her tongue before the eclipse peaks, or yours will take its place.
Kael had bowed, as always. Refusal meant worse than death. The Queen could command the demon to consume him from within, leaving only a hollow shell to serve her eternally. He had seen it happen to others. He had no intention of becoming a cautionary tale. What he had not told her, what he would never tell her, was that the orders were getting harder to follow. Not because he had grown soft, because he had grown tired in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. 6 years of this. 6 years of hunting people who had done nothing except have the wrong kind of power or stand in the wrong person's way. 6 years of Virak's voice in the dark telling him this was all he was now, all he would ever be. Some nights he almost believed it. Tonight, He needed not to.
Kael inhaled slowly, tasting iron on the wind.
The demon inside him, Virak, it had named itself in his dreams, whispered promises of release.
Let me run. Let me tear. Let me feed.
He clenched his jaw until his teeth ached, forcing the voice down. Eclipses weren't all the same. Minor lunar ones came frequently, weakening seals on curses and stirring low-level chaos across the realm. True blood eclipses were rarer, capable of summoning ancient powers or shattering bonds entirely. And the final eclipse, ritual-aligned, irreversible, was the one the Queen hoarded for her ultimate designs. Tonight was only a minor lunar eclipse, but even that was enough to push him toward the edge.
He rose fluidly, muscles coiling like a predator preparing to leap.
The first sliver of the moon slipped behind the Earth's shadow, and pain lanced through his veins like molten silver. Bones cracked and reshaped in micro-shifts. Nothing full yet, just enough to remind him who owned his body. His senses sharpened. The sentries' heartbeats thundered below, their fear sweat sharp in the air. Somewhere in the caverns, a woman's pulse raced. Steady, defiant, different from the others. Alara Voss. The name tasted like prophecy on his tongue. He dropped from the outcrop in silence, landing in a crouch among the black pines. The path to the cavern mouth wound through ancient pine forest, trees so old their roots had cracked the stone beneath, so dense their canopy blocked what little light remained. Kael moved through them without sound, without hesitation, the way a man moves through a place he has visited too many times in too many nightmares. The air tasted of wet earth and old magic, eclipse residue from previous hunts soaked into the soil over decades.
Virak pressed harder as they neared the cavern, not with words this time, with sensation.
Hunger. Anticipation.
The demon didn't need to speak when it could simply make itself felt. A second heartbeat beneath his own, faster and less patient. Kael pressed 2 fingers to the obsidian shard at his throat. Stay down. Not a command, a negotiation. We do this clean. The demon pulsed once, sullen, and subsided. The oracle had to die. That was the order. But as he stalked toward the cavern mouth, a new sensation pierced the haze. A thread of awareness, thin as spider silk, tugging at his chest. Not pain, not fear. Something warmer, brighter, utterly wrong in this world of shadows and blood. He froze. Through the bond he didn't yet understand, he felt her.
A flash of silver hair in torchlight, wide violet eyes staring into nothing, lips moving in silent warning of him.
Kael's hand tightened on his dagger hilt until the leather creaked. The hunt had just become something far more dangerous. He stepped into the darkness of the cavern, the eclipse swallowing the last of the light behind him. The beast smiled inside his skin.